Hello, welcome to episode number 5. My name is Wes, and straight from Vancouver Island, this is Island by Film.
Vers l'horizon. Allons plonger vers les ciels de Méditerranée. Échappons-nous vers l'horizon.
Everybody, thanks for joining me again. This episode we're going to be talking about my trip to New York and my further experience on the Olympus MJU camera. What I liked, what I disliked, some of the issues that I've experienced after shooting now a total of 7 or 8 rolls on this camera. So I'm starting to get a little bit more familiar with its usability and some of its quirks and issues. But we're going to talk about this camera. By the way, a little bit of a spoiler alert. Love the thing. It's a fantastic camera. Would highly recommend it. I haven't shot the Stylus Epic 2 yet. Plan on doing that in the future, but for the f3.5 version, it's a fantastic option. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about just my overall experience shooting in New York. As I walk through, I'm going to give you a little bit of a play-by-play on a selection of photographs from 4 rolls of film that I shot, mostly on Kodak Ultramax 400 and also Kodak Gold 200. So I shot 1 roll of the Gold 200 and 3 rolls of the Ultramax 400. Every one of those rolls I overexposed a little bit. The Kodak Gold 100 I've overexposed by a full stop, so I shot it at the Kodak Gold 200 I overexposed by 1 stop and shot it at 100. And the 400 I overexposed to ISO 300. So I gave it a little bit of a bump. I'd done some reading online and a lot of people said that there was some dramatic color shifting when you overexposed it a full stop. So I thought it'd be a little bit conservative as far as that goes. And as you'll be able to see right away, I think the results turned out pretty great. I'm quite pleased with them. Just a quick reminder that if you subscribe, like, and comment, you have the opportunity to win a free copy of one of my zines. So we're going to be giving we're going to be giving out a zine every episode. So this episode, I'm going to be creating a zine specifically with my images that I've shot in New York. I'm really excited about putting that together. So please go ahead, subscribe, like, and let me know what you think about this content. And like I say each and every time, I'm excited about doing these videos. It's a lot of work, and I'm hoping that each and every time I do it, they get just a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. One of the encouraging things that I often see is when I see some of the YouTubers out there that are prolific and have 100,000 subscribers plus. I look at their early content and I look at the progression that they've had from their first videos all the way up to where they're at today, and that encourages me actually, because a lot of people start off with fairly humble beginnings, including myself. So I've got a very simple lighting setup, a very a simple space that I use here in my garage, and but I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you keep coming back for more, and I hope you enjoy these photographs. So we're going to cut to that right now. Here's the first of the series of Kodak Gold 200 images. This photograph was taken in front of a barbershop near Washington Square Park. I particularly like how Kodak Gold 200 balances indoor light with outdoor light. This is a really good example of that. This image is also of that same barbershop, but a little bit of a wider view. I like the fact that there's a car partially coming into the scene and a female walking by the building. It gives it a little bit of a layered look. Once again, these are mainly snapshots. Hope you enjoy them. This one is a landscape version of that same scene now, though with more people walking in the scene and a bike rider walking by. Kodak Gold 200 tends to lend to a washed type look when it's overexposed by a stop. New York City is full of giant monolithic skyscrapers, and I find myself being a tourist and looking up quite often because these are unusual scenes for someone living in a place like Vancouver Island, where skyscrapers are actually quite rare. So you'll see a few of these in this series of images. This photograph right here is of a Snapchat ad. It's the friends you can call up at 4 a.m. that matter. I quite like this giant billboard, probably about 150 feet in height. That's just a guesstimate, but it was huge and I thought it deserved to be photographed. The Flatiron Building, an iconic place to photograph. I decided to photograph it this way because I thought it would be more of a minimalist look. I like how the sky turned out. It's got a little bit of a tealy kind of pastel type look to the sky. Kodak Gold did a great job of that. This is a portrait of my wife and daughter. I shot at the American History Museum. There was a giant window and an area where I could set them into open shade, and I think the results were fantastic. And the Infinity did a really good job of photographing this portrait. Here's another portrait I took of my daughter. She's the main reason we took this trip to New York City. It was to celebrate her and to adventure with her. She was super excited to go there, and so we took a photo in the window of our hotel room, and the window light was absolutely fantastic. This shot was at a monument that overlooked the Statue of Liberty. I should know what this monument was called, but it was a monument, I believe, to fallen soldiers in all areas of the military in the United States. And so I thought it was pretty great. There was some really nice even light. This one right here was at a restaurant called Jack's Wife Frida, and I can't recommend this restaurant more. It's a very simple image, but it made such an impression on me that I thought I should photograph it before I left. And a fantastic place, fantastic food. Really enjoyed being there. This image is now the first image on Kodak Ultramax 400. Fantastic film this is. I shot this half a stop overexposed, and the results were pretty great. You can see that even in this one right here, everything was nicely exposed. The colors are really have that really nice washed kind of look. Not too much off from the Kodak Gold 200, but this is a little bit faster film, so it lends itself to a little bit more low light shooting. Another image from Coney Island, as those first two images were as well too. Just love the way this film renders colors, and the Stylus Infinity, spot on most shots. The one issue that I did find with this film is shooting directly into the sun has its issues. I should say not the film, the camera. And so these scenes are fantastic. I like to see if I can place a single person in a scene like this with lots of color, and this one worked really well. I walked past here and saw a guy on his phone. This one, there was a guy basking in the sun. It was almost 35 degrees out there, and it was incredibly hot. So this guy was enjoying every moment of the sunshine. The next photograph that I took was one that was special to me. This one was in front of this New York Aquarium sign, but you can see there's a brother and sister, and looks like their baby sister approaching as well too. Now what you don't see is off to the right of the scene is the rest of the family, but the way this just worked out, I absolutely loved it. Here's just a little bit of a more of a minimalist look, more of that color, more of that pastel type sky. Did a great job. I think the camera is just spot on as far as finding the right exposure when there's lots of light available. This scene I quite liked. This is more of a traditional Jewish family, all lining up to get tickets for rides. I thought that was fantastic. They looked like they were about to have a great time, and I saw them there, and I thought I had to capture them. I love the little girl in the flower dress. I think she's fantastic. Here are the public washrooms in front of the beach on Coney Island. These were so unique. They were begging to be photographed, and once again, I think this film did a great job. I'm me, not meat. Well, as a meat eater, I found this to be incredibly funny. I don't want to offend anybody on this channel, but this photograph I thought was hilarious. It was an ad put out by PETA. I'll leave it up to you what your opinion is. Either way, it's fine, but I thought it was comical. Now, away from Coney Island, I was able to walk by this and grab a quick snapshot of this mural done by the artist Cobra. He's got many murals in New York City, and this is just one of the many that he's photographed. I captured another shot of one of his murals with a different camera. This is a scene in Central Park that I shot, and it was a couple talking to this older gentleman about his goods that he was selling, and this would have been a much better photograph had I moved over just enough so that I had the other three people in the scene, didn't cut them off. This guy was blowing giant bubbles, and he was quite entertaining. We stuck around and watched him and put some money in his tip bucket, as you can see below. But I really like this scene. It was just a fun experience, so I had to capture it. Walking along the streets of New York City, you're always met with beauty, and this was just a neat scene of this, fairly even colored building, but these splashes of color with these flowers. This I really love New York City's churches. This is one of the signs that I absolutely love: Jesus, the light of the world. I am a Christian, and I'm not ashamed to say so. And this just captured my eyes, and I thought I'd take a photograph of it. These stacks where steam come out of the ground, they're almost magical. At the beginning, you saw some B-roll footage of these same stacks. I just think they are pretty fantastic, and they just make for a great subject to photograph. Another scene with large buildings. This was shot actually when I was on the roof of our hotel, and I was able to go up there and take a couple photographs, and I liked the contrast of the shadow and the light, and the sky as well too. It was just a great scene. This was just an iconic statue. I should really know what it is, but just love how this gold rendered with this film just pops out. It's just fantastic. So thought I would actually take a photograph of it, and it turned out really, really well. The Bank of America Tower. I shot this with my Fuji X Pro 2 as well, but had to shoot it with this camera, and I love the results, and I love the tones and the color, and how the lettering on the building stands out. I think is a really, really interesting scene. Oh, the Trump Tower. This is just really a snapshot, but I thought I would include it in this because generally there's a lot of controversy when it comes to Donald Trump, and I just thought I would add it to my series of photographs. I'll leave it up to you what your opinions are, negative or positive. We don't talk about political things on this channel. Near Times Square, this scene I really liked. I like this girl just walking across the crosswalk, and all the signage and chaos around. I just really like this scene. Simple, but stood out to me. Here's a little pizzeria near the Brooklyn Flea Market that we traveled to the one day. Just thought it was neat. Love the paintings on the side of the brick. Love the two trees on the outside, the reds, the pops of color. Just a really good example. This photograph I liked. This was a gentleman who was selling these buttons, and the way he displayed them on this mannequin I thought were fantastic and classic. And you know, once again, travel photography for me is really looking for interesting things to capture. And you know, I there's not really an organized fashion for me, but here's another example of, you know, just photographing interesting things. You know what? I'm not American, I'm Canadian, but I love the American flag. I think it is one of the most beautiful flags out there. And for all of my American brothers and sisters out there, you guys have a great flag. This is the last photograph right here, just another New York scene looking up. And yeah, very, very simple, but I just can't help but enjoy the architecture and buildings. They're just incredibly fantastic. Well, that's it. Thanks again for joining me, and thank you for coming back. Please make sure that you hit that subscribe button and that you like this video. And if you leave a comment as well, you'll be entered into a draw for one person to receive one of my custom-made zines, and I think you'll love them. I'm looking forward to giving these away. I'm hoping that I can send these all over the world. The last zine went to a place in Poland. You know who you are. I'm excited for you to get that. I'm sure it's going to take a little bit of time for it to get there, but we'll really appreciate the fact that you're joining me today.